Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Ask Mr. Long Island. My name is Michael Watt, aka Mr. Long Island, and this week we have two guests, Hillary Needle from Hillary Needle Events and Ken Cerini from Cerini and Associates, and the father of the Imagine Awards. And as such, Ken is our, I think, our first return guest. So Ken, that's something you can add to your resume. That's terrific. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
And as always, Ask Mr. Long Island is an internet program that focuses on issues that need to be discussed to ensure the vitality of Long Island, and then also to spotlight things that are going on in the region that make Long Island such a special place to live, work, and play. And the Imagine Awards, which we're going to get into in a minute, certainly qualifies in that regard. So Ken and Hillary, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
As we do each week, though, we start the episode talking about pizza, and the reason for that is Long Island is so diverse and the region is so crazy different. The one thing that every town in Long Island has in common is a pizza place, and every Long Islander will drive past several pizza places to get to a really good one if they know about it. So we're going to ask you, Hillary, we'll start ladies first. Where's your favorite pizza place?
My favorite pizza place is Little Vincent's in Huntington, in the village of Huntington. It's been there forever. And it's all they do is pizza. And I love that concept because you do one thing beautifully and you stick to it.
Is there anything in particular they should ask for when you go into Little Vincent's?
Well, there are people who like a cold cheese slice, which is, you get your regular slice and then you add extra cold mozzarella. I've tried it. I'm more of a purist. I like just a original plain slice. It's thin, it's crispy, the sauce is good, the cheese to sauce ratio is perfect.
Well, great. Now they're all starving. I think somebody actually had Little Vincent's on. So it's Little Vincent's in Huntington Village.
Yep,
I think that's a return engagement for them, too.
It's on the corner of 25A and Route 110.
Terrific. Right in the heart of downtown Huntington Village.
They're open late.
Terrific. Ken, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the same one I went last time, sun-dried tomato.
Sun-dried tomato.
It's over in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, that's right.
And the reason I went sun-dried tomato is very different from Hillary. I like all the stuff you can put on things. I'm not a purist. I like to add stuff, and sun-dried tomato makes a great white pizza with heavy garlic.
Okay.
It's you can smell yourself for about 3 or 4 days after you eat it, which is a plus. And you actually can feel your arteries start to harden when you eat it, which is great because if I'm going to give up 2 months of my life, I'm going to do it eating pizza.
It's got to be worth it.
Absolutely. So that's terrific. Great contributions. Thank you both very much. Now, Ken, I said you're the father of the Imagine Awards. Hillary, I know you've played an instrumental role in making these happen. Ken, walk us through a little bit. What are the Imagine Awards? Why did you come up with this idea? Why is it so important to you?
Okay, so over the years, there's been so many different award programs for the for-profit sector, and there's really never been anything for the nonprofit sector. When you think about nonprofits, you think about all the good things that nonprofit organizations do, for them to not get the recognition that they should be getting, I felt that there should be something out there for the nonprofit sector. So we came up with the Imagine Awards, and Imagine, comes from the song, because that always made me think nonprofit related. And so when I looked at it, I said, we got to come up with something. We wanted to come up with an idea that actually focused on those nonprofits that got it, those nonprofits that understood what it was like to be more than just a service provider, but really did good things for the community and for the people they served. So the Imagine Awards is an award for the nonprofit sector. It focuses on 5 categories. The 5 categories that we have is leadership, where we're looking for an individual within the organization that's a strong leader, not just for the organization, but has made a difference in the community that they serve.
And it could be a member of their board, a staff person, a volunteer out in the field.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's just someone who's making that difference. The second category is innovation. So we're looking for an organization that has some sort of innovative aspect to them. It could be a programmatic aspect, it could be a fundraising aspect, it could be a marketing campaign. It could be anything that's innovative, that's different, that other nonprofit organizations can learn from. And that's really part of what the Imagine Awards is about also, is it's teaching other nonprofits about doing things differently and maybe doing things more in line with, this millennium.
Well, you're also setting an example. Like I work with young professionals, and I looked at Long Island Business News' 40 Under 40 award. I said, listen, just look at the criteria, and that serves as a blueprint for how you should run your career. I think what you're trying to do, and I want to hear about the other categories, but I think it's important to point out, with the leadership awards and innovation is really key, because if you're not innovating, you're dying. you're showing the ones that aren't winning the awards how to upgrade what they're doing.
To give you an example of innovation, the Long Island Crisis Center won our first year.
Okay.
And what the Long Island Crisis Center had done is they realized, they were a hotline. They started off as a hotline, and they deal with a lot of children in need or youth in need. And they said, well, kids don't pick up a phone and call anymore. I mean, kids are into texting. So they said, look, if we're going to provide youth support, we have to provide youth support where they live. So they moved to a support system that was text-based.
Wow.
And they're providing, they're the
Suicide
first
prevention hotline.
They're the first one, I think, in the country that went to a text-based model for providing service.
And it's a great way to stay current, because you're right. They don't use the phone. They do text, and you might as well,
If you're not going to be relevant to the needs of the people you're serving, then what good are you?
And you also enhance your credibility, because if I'm a teen and I can't text, then I say, well, what do they know? How are they going to help me if they don't know that?
They don't understand my issues. Yeah.
Right. So we had leadership and innovation.
So the third category is social enterprise. In today's environment, nonprofits have to think more business oriented. They have to be more business minded. And really the goal here is to try to get nonprofit organizations to incorporate business aspects into them. Typically a lot of the cases it means maybe setting up a business. You don't normally think of nonprofits and having business ventures, but there's some cool examples of it. One of the organizations that's out there for this year is an organization, the Henry Kaufman Campground.
Okay.
And Henry Kaufman Campground, they were just a traditional campground for the longest time, where they just brought kids and they provided a camp space for them. A year ago, they partnered with a for-profit business to put on their site an adventure camp or an adventure program. And now you've got individuals coming there. They're showing off the campsite, so they're picking up more volume on the campsite. But what they're also doing is they're utilizing a property that was not really utilized during the course of the year, and they're generating revenue for the camp and the campers during the course of the whole year. And it's a really, really cool adventure program for anybody who can go to.
Zip lining in the woods. And
okay.
So they're bringing in and engaging the community in a for-profit basis, but exposing them to their nonprofit operation.
But it also, I've heard you talk about this before, it also ties into the idea that philanthropy is changing, that the munificent people aren't just cutting big checks because they got extra money sitting around.
People want to see that there's some sort of return on investment, social return on investment. Businesses want to know that if they're going to partner with a nonprofit organization, that it's a two-way street. It's not about sticking out your hand and getting a check anymore.
Right.
It's about being a good partner and being a good resource. And those are the kind of things that we're trying to get out to the nonprofit sector. Don't go back and traditional fundraising still exists, and traditional fundraising is still important, but you have to add to your mix of things that you offer non-traditional vehicles.
But it also even ties in nicely with your innovation, in that you can't just keep doing things the way you've always done it, because the nature of the beast has changed quite a bit, and that comes from leadership. So we just tied into three categories.
Right, we crafted the categories to feed into each other.
And well, I was going to say, which feeds right into the fourth category that we have, which is social impact. Because you can't provide impact unless you're doing all of the other things.
Right.
And social impact, again, is one of those categories where it's not focused on what you do for an individual. It's what's the impact you're having on the community. What's the leverage that you're able to create? So if I've got a small organization, but my footprint is 10 times larger, I've got tremendous leverage. That's tremendous impact. And how do you measure impact? How do you measure the good things that you're doing? Again, it's not just about a fiscal measurement saying, 70 cents or 80 cents on every dollar is spent in a program service capacity. It's, this is the real impact I'm having. This is the dollars I'm saving taxpayers. This is the community impact.
Which makes your pitch, for lack of a better term, more effective, because he's saying, look, you donated X, and we created Y because of that. And it's a business element that maybe wasn't there prior.
And our last category is something we call the Rising Star Award. And it's not just for a not-for-profit that's relatively new. The category fits for people, groups that are $2 million and under in an annual budget. So there are a lot of groups that have been around for 30, 40 years that are still at that $2 million mark for their annual budget, and they would also qualify for the Rising Star.
And here on Long Island, almost half the organizations generate under $2 million. And we just felt it wasn't really fair to have a small organization compete against a United Way or a Island Harvest or something like that. So we tried to create, some avenue for the smaller organizations who are really making a difference, who people probably haven't heard of, to shine also.
Now, this is the third year you're doing this?
Third year.
It is, yeah.
So it's safe to assume if I'm a not-for-profit, I can look at the previous award winners and kind of pick and choose?
Absolutely. We've got a Facebook page. We've got a YouTube channel, Long Island Imagine Awards, and we're promoting it with the media so that other not-for-profits who haven't applied or who didn't want to take the time to apply, everybody's working on a shoestring budget with limited staff. The application was crafted to be friendly and respectful and mindful of your limitations, but we had over 130 applications this year.
Wow.
And the way the format of the selection process works is we've got a committee of volunteers and business leaders, and we all read through every single application. And then there's a rubric, and we culled down the pool to what, about 35?
Yeah, it was about 38, and the 38 all got interviewed. So we did one-to-one interviews with all 38 agencies to make sure that they really fit the criteria that we were looking at. And then those 38 went to a judges panel, independent judges panel, who are not part of the committee or anything.
Right.
Okay.
And the judges pick the ultimate 20 finalists and the ultimate 5 winners. And there's only a handful of people who know who the 5 winners are, and those are going to be and those are going to be announced the night of the event.
So the people going to the luncheon don't necessarily know.
Dinner.
Yeah.
The dinner, okay.
Tuesday, May 5th at
Tuesday,
the Crest
May
Hollow
5th.
Country Club.
Okay, I'm glad you thought to
Yeah.
throw that out there. But I want to get back to the whole awards concept. It really isn't a night of patting each other on the back, although you are tipping your hat to people who went above and beyond.
Yeah, the not-for-profits, the sector in general, we recognize.
Yeah. I mean, it's important. Like I said, it's important. It's important to get out there and show. It's a way that nonprofit organizations can link with each other.
Well, that's a really important
we've seen a
part.
tremendous level of networking taking place. We've seen a tremendous level of collaboration coming out of the awards program. It's, people start to learn about other organizations they never knew existed on Long Island. And Long Island's a small place. And to think that everybody knows every nonprofit organization on Long Island when there's, 4,000 or more nonprofits isn't real. But, those organizations that really get it and that should be leaders in the sector, everybody should know who they are.
Well, that's what I was leading to with the awards. If I'm on the board of a not-for-profit, I should be encouraging my people to go through that awards process, if for no other reason, just as a measuring stick.
Right, and it also forces, I think, the staff people to really take a hard look at the organization and say, well, what can I write? Am I even worthy of filling out the application? What do I have to say?
What makes me different? What makes me unique? What makes me special?
And it kind of forces you to answer that question.
And if you go to the website and you go to the YouTube channel that Hillary mentioned, we have the videos from the 2 previous years there.
Okay.
So you can also look at the videos and see what the winners were all about and what their programs were about, and again, what they believe makes them different.
So when you're selected as one of the 20 finalists, we produce a video.
I was going to say, you mentioned the videos. Walk us through what that's involved.
We produce a video that's about a 60-second commercial, basically, for the organization, talking to some leadership, having an interview, basically a mini interview that the charities get to keep. Afterwards, they can put it on their YouTube channels or social media and websites. And the way we run the event is sort of like the Academy Awards. We have our categories, and each category is introduced by the platinum sponsor who is sponsoring that particular award.
And funny you should mention platinum sponsors. If you don't mind, I'd like to bring up our platinum sponsors.
Because I want to get back to this whole sponsorship
I just want to thank our platinum sponsors.
Yeah.
The Empire National Bank is one of the platinum sponsors.
The Innovation Award.
We have Bank of America U.S. Trust is one of the platinum sponsors.
Social entrepreneurism.
Thank you. Sereni and Associates, us, is one of the platinum sponsors. And we have the Claire Friedlander Foundation is one of the platinum sponsors.
Yeah. So
and we still have one open platinum sponsor if anybody out there listening wants to become a platinum sponsor.
It's for the $10,000 sponsorship. You have someone from your organization come up to the podium in front of 400 of Long Island's best of the business and not-for-profit community and announce the category, and then we cut to the tape.
To the videos.
Of the videos of all the people in the finalists.
Let's tie those two together, because I think it's a real important point to make. if you're involved in philanthropic activities on Long Island, and thank God a lot of people are, if you're on boards or if you're working with not-for-profits, this is an excellent opportunity for you to kind of get that charity or that not-for-profit you're involved in to kind of up their game a little bit and be associated with efforts to raise the bar for Long Island not-for-profit. So if you're a part of it, I would really encourage people, and I see the value in being a sponsor here, because you're not just cutting a check, you're participating in a process that's going to make your not-for-profit better.
And just also to stress the fact that the winners, so there are 5 winners, the winners of the 5 categories each get a $5,000 grant out of this.
Wow.
So they get, that's where the sponsorship dollars go. In addition, this year we're doing something a little different. We have something called the Fan Favorite Award. And the or People's Choice, whatever you want to call it. And really what it is, it's the ability for people to go online to the Imagine Awards website, Facebook site, I'm sorry, and vote for which of the 20 finalists they want to win.
Terrific. Okay.
And United Way sponsored that, and it's a $2,500 grant for that, too.
Wow.
So we've added an additional category and an additional award for the fan favorite.
So all of the finalists should be promoting this to their friends and constituents to keep voting for them.
And that's another great way to kind of push them into the social media realm if they're not already there. So listen, you got to learn how to get your people engaged, and all the supporters of your organization are little ambassadors. But I want to touch on something on the video before we wrap up. The video also, a 60-second video, maybe doesn't sound so long, but now you have to fine-tune your whole approach to who you are and what you do.
Exactly.
And that process, I think, would be very beneficial.
And why do you think you were selected as a finalist?
I mean, the video is not just about the agency. It's what makes the agency unique and special.
Right.
And the video actually is the star of the night. These videos, it's not us up there, it's the videos and the good things that the organizations are doing. Those videos have prompted people in the audience after the event or during the event to get up and offer more money to some of the finalists or the winners.
We had a foundation who
in the first year,
who came to the first event, and they were so moved and inspired by all of the 20 videos that they made a $5,000
pledge
grant
to each one of the 20.
So
was he
mission
sober?
accomplished.
That's a great night.
It was at the end of the night, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was, but it worked out well. And you just never know who's in the audience, and who you don't know from a not-for-profit perspective. You don't know who is going to be touched by what you have to say and your mission. And now you're on their radar.
So participating in the Imagine Awards from a not-for-profit point of view, it forces you to tell your story, and then by being forced to tell your story, it really forces you to better understand your story. Because if you don't understand it, your benefactors aren't going to understand it.
I think it's a good litmus test to determine whether you really are, one of those elite nonprofit organizations.
And if not, where you can improve. Yeah. So from a not-for-profit standpoint, it's a no-brainer. You apply, you go through the process, and you improve yourself through it. From a corporate sponsorship point of view,
if you work with nonprofits, you should be in the room.
And you want to hold the ones that you're already supporting, their feet to the fire to a bit, just for their benefit, to make them better. Yeah. So that's terrific. The event is May 5th.
From 6 to 9:30 at the Crest Hollow Country Club.
Tickets are $100 a person. We kept it as low as possible, just to cover the costs of running the show. I
got to tell you, obviously I'm a big fan of the Imagine Awards. I think they're a great representation for really terrific things that people are doing on Long Island. Ken, that's why you're one of Mr. Long Island's 10 coolest people.
I appreciate that.
Part of it. And so I want to thank you both you and Hillary for the work that you do on behalf of the not-for-profit community. And on behalf of Long Island, because by raising everyone's game, it's just making everybody work that much better and more efficiently and effectively.
That's what it's all about. The sector is an important sector, and everybody on Long Island is touched by the sector. If we can make it more efficient, if we can make it more innovative, and we can make it more creative, I think we're only doing a better job for the sector and for everybody who lives here.
And that's the great part, because when I used to run LongIsland.com, far and away the most common questions I got were, I want to get involved in a not-for-profit. How do I go about doing that? And I always thought that was really telling about Long Island. Is there a website? You mentioned a Facebook page. Where can people go to get more information?
Well, the Long Island Imagine Awards. We're also on Twitter at Imagine Awards LI.
Yep.
And it's on the SerenianAssociates.com website.
Okay. And Hillary, you do event planning, party planning?
I do not-for-profit and corporate events. So I started my career at the American Heart Association doing special events as director of development. So that was boot camp, me and an administrative assistant. So
and it's terrific what gets done, all the different things out there. So again, thank you both very much. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Seriously.
And look forward to seeing you at the Imagine Awards.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of Ask Mr. Long Island. My name is Michael Watt, a.k.a. Mr. Long Island. I want to thank our guests Ken Serini, Hillary Needle, and I want to thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.